The Greeks built the Parthenon. They invented democracy. For 500 years, they dominated philosophy, warfare, art, and science. But there's a question most people never ask. What did they eat? What they ate was no accident. It was all part of a system. Today, I'll show you the 10 ancient Greek superfoods that fueled one of the most powerful civilizations in history. Olive oil. The Greeks called it liquid gold, and they truly meant it. Olive oil was not just a cooking fat. It served as fuel, medicine, currency, and even played a role in religion, all in one bottle. Greek athletes rubbed it on their skin before every competition. Soldiers carried it into battle. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, listed over 60 medical uses for olive oil alone. Skin conditions, fever, infections. He called it the great healer. Modern science now backs up what the Greeks already knew 2,500 years ago. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in a compound called oleocanthal. It works like a natural anti-inflammatory painkiller. It protects the heart. It slows cognitive decline. The Greeks didn't just cook with it. It was a part of their daily lives. It might even be the main reason Greek men stayed physically strong into old age. Honey. Greek warriors packed honey in their field rations. Wounded soldiers had honey pressed directly into open wounds. That might sound primitive, but there's more to it. Honey is one of the most powerful natural antibiotics ever studied by modern researchers. Honey never goes bad. A jar found in an Egyptian tomb dated 3,000 years old was still perfectly edible. The Greeks sourced their honey from Mount Hymettus near Athens, where bees fed exclusively on wild thyme. That thyme honey was famous across the entire ancient world for its medicinal strength. Hippocrates prescribed it for fevers, infections, and digestive problems. It also gives quick but steady energy. Modern endurance athletes are now rediscovering what Greek soldiers figured out 3,000 years ago. Barley. Before bread, before pasta, before anything, there was barley. It was the backbone of the Greek diet for 1,000 years. Athletes competing at the Olympic Games trained almost exclusively on a barley paste called maza. They ground the grain, mixed it with water, salt, and olive oil, and ate it before every training session. This wasn't just food for peasants, it was food for performance. Barley has one of the highest fiber contents of any grain on Earth. It releases energy slowly and steadily. No energy spikes, no crashes. It feeds good gut bacteria and lowers LDL cholesterol. The Spartans were famous for eating barley black broth during military campaigns. Simple, dense, sustaining. While modern athletes chase protein shakes and pre-workouts, Greek Olympians were winning on barley paste and olive oil. Sometimes the old ways really are the best. Figs. Figs were the first energy bars. Greek athletes received figs as prizes at the ancient games. The Spartans made figs a daily staple of their military diet. Plato loved figs so much that people called him the fig eater. These choices weren't random. Figs are one of the most nutrient-dense fruits in existence, loaded with iron, potassium, calcium, and natural sugars that hit the bloodstream fast without the crash that follows refined sugar. One study found that figs contain more calcium by weight than whole milk. Figs were perfect for soldiers on the move. Lightweight, nearly non-perishable, fast energy, high mineral content. The Greek military saw food as a kind of technology long before modern sports nutritionists caught up. Garlic. The Greeks nicknamed garlic the stinking rose. They also gave it to slaves before demanding heavy labor. They fed it to soldiers the night before battle. They left garlic at the altars of Hecate as an offering to the gods. Garlic was everywhere in ancient Greece, and for good reason. Hippocrates prescribed it for respiratory problems, fatigue, poor digestion, and infections. He was right about all of it. It lowers blood pressure. It reduces LDL cholesterol. It boosts immune function. It has direct antibiotic properties. Greek athletes were eating raw garlic before competition. The Greeks practiced what we now call functional medicine long before the term existed. Diluted wine. The Greeks never drank wine straight. always diluted, usually 3 parts water to 1 part wine. They believed undiluted wine was barbaric. What they drank was more like what we now call polyphenol water. The Greek practice of diluting wine with meals is now being studied as part of why Mediterranean populations show lower rates of heart disease and cognitive decline. The Greeks did not drink to get drunk. They drank it as part of a planned nutrition approach. That difference is more important than most people think. Pomegranate. The pomegranate appears in nearly every layer of Greek culture. Persephone ate pomegranate seeds in the underworld. That's how powerful the Greeks thought this fruit was, powerful enough to bind you to another realm forever. Hippocrates used pomegranate to treat diarrhea and parasites. Modern research has confirmed why it worked. Pomegranate is one of the most antioxidant-rich foods ever measured. It has shown effects against cancer cells in laboratory studies. It reduces blood pressure. It fights inflammation at the cellular level. A 2013 clinical study found that pomegranate extract significantly improved memory in older adults after just 4 weeks. The Greeks ate pomegranate as medicine. Now, modern science is finally catching up. Lentils. Lentils powered ancient Greece with protein. Cheap, abundant, incredibly dense in nutrition. Plato mentions lentil soup in his writings. Aristophanes referenced it in comedy plays. Lentils were everywhere, and for good reason. Lentils contain more protein per cup than most meat sources. They also have a very low glycemic index, stable energy over hours, not a spike and a crash. Socrates, Pythagoras, and several major Greek thinkers followed near-vegetarian diets with lentils as a core staple. Whether that fueled their thinking is impossible to prove. Walnuts. The Greeks called walnuts karyon, which means head. If you look at a walnut, you'll see why. It looks like a human brain. The Greeks believed that if a food looked like a body part, it could strengthen that part. That might sound like superstition, but research tells a different story. Walnuts are one of the highest plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids on the planet. They are loaded with polyphenols that reduce oxidative stress in brain tissue. The Greeks ate walnuts at their symposia, the famous intellectual gatherings where philosophy and debate ran all night long. They weren't wrong to link walnuts to brain health. They just figured it out in their own way. This was 2,000 years before neuroscience could explain it. Oregano and thyme. These two herbs dominated Greek cooking and medicine for centuries. Oregano means joy of the mountain in Greek. Hippocrates used it as an antiseptic and for respiratory and digestive problems. Thyme was burnt in temples for purification and consumed by soldiers for physical strength. Greek troops carried bundles of dried thyme as field medicine. Modern analysis has revealed exactly why it worked so well. 2 compounds with some of the strongest natural antimicrobial effects ever measured in a laboratory setting. These weren't just spices. They were pharmaceutical-grade compounds the Greeks built into every meal, every day for generations. That wasn't a coincidence, it was a system. The Greeks weren't just guessing. They developed their ideas about nutrition over centuries of careful observation. There were no labs, no clinical trials, and no peer-reviewed papers. They simply watched what happened when people ate certain foods, and they got most of it right. 10 foods, all still available to you right now at your local grocery store or farmer's market. The civilization that created Western culture relied on these foods. That says a lot.